Welcome to TruPowur, home of the most powerful marketing tools, training, and technology on planet Earth. Get ready to earn, enjoy, and experience more than you ever dreamed was possible. If you're tired of just getting by and ready to really thrive, then buckle in and listen up. Here's your host, Matt Fox.
Well, welcome everybody. It is January the 15th, and I want to welcome everybody to today's training call and episode 222. And so today we've got some good things to cover. A lot of it is going to be basic information that we've covered before, but there have been some changes and updates in the platform, and so we want to kind of go over that today. A little bit more. So my voice is far better this week than it was last week. So that's a good thing. So let's go ahead and jump right into it by sharing my screen. I want to go over some of the basics here with the agent quick launch menu, where to find some things that are valuable. A basic overview of the CRM and dialer, just to point out some changes that we've made in there. And then of course, some of the basics for the pricing platform for both residential and commercial. Overview of the marketing phases and how that applies. And then an overview of some of the customer incentives, how you can use that. And then we're going to go over some of the news and updates and some of the changes in the platform. Actually, a lot of those will probably happen as we progress through today's overview. So first thing we want to do is jump right over to the quick launch menu. And everybody should be familiar with that by now. It is at agent.trupowur.com. And other than having your Thunderbird, which is a standalone email client, open, that all you really need to access everything else within the platform is the quick launch menu. Starting with the items on the right-hand side, which are predominantly going to be more for support in your daily activities. The alarm is something that I use a lot just to keep myself in touch with, if I need to remind myself, I can set an alarm. So if I need to make sure that I'm going to call somebody at 3 o'clock, I can set that alarm and it'll start ringing so that I don't miss anything. So that's always helpful. Your PDF tools, sometimes customers will send you an image of their electric bill or their utility bill. It needs to be in a PDF format. So if you use the PDF tools, it will allow you to convert that image into a PDF. Or if they send it to you in a spreadsheet or any other kind of document, the PDF tools will allow you to convert that to a PDF. Or if they have multiple bills on different things and you only need 1 or 2 of the pages and you don't need 800 pages of a bill, you can break that out. So you just get the items that you need that pertain to what it is that you're trying to accomplish. The ESID search, which is really more geared towards the Texas market, you can put in an address and it will pull up the ESID. Sometimes when you're looking at bills in the Texas market, it may or may not have the ESID number on it, which is the meter number. And so if you do need to verify the ESID number, you can use that ESID search tool, and that will bring that information up for you as well. Checking the speed of your computer. If you have any latency issues or any kind of communication issues while you're in the CRM, your download is going to be in control of how you hear them. Your upload is going to have an effect on how they hear you. So if you do that and you check your internet speed, your download is obviously Most people are probably going to be 40 megabytes per second to, maybe 400. Um, Mine obviously is in the gigs, but the upload speed is what really matters for people hearing you when you're in the dialer in the CRM. And so you want to have typically at least a good 20 megs of upload just to make sure that you don't have any latency. So if you have any issues, you might want to just double check your speed to make sure that there are no issues at that time. Calculating annual KWH. This is a calculator that allows you to put in square feet and the type of building, and it will calculate how much they use annually based on the size of the building and the type of building. Access to the corporate website and the utility auction or audit website links there. Obviously, the social media platform down here in the bottom right hand corner, if you have any needs or updates to update any of your accounting or anything like that that has to do with your specific license, if you're trying to upgrade, say, from an agent to a broker, or you need to change your credit card, or whatever it is that you need to do, this is where you can access that through the accounting. Now, because everything that we do on the pricing platform is live and nothing ever gets deleted, good or bad, it never gets deleted. So we do not want to put test deals in the live platform. So what we have done is added a demo site for both the residential side and the commercial side. So if you're wanting to put in deals to just test the system, you can use either one of these. This is going to go through the front of the platform, which is where all of our residential deals go. And then through the back office is where you're going to enter in any commercial deals in order to facilitate a contract. So these are designed so that you can play with it and see how they operate. Do not put test deals in the live pricing platform. Those will go to the suppliers, and they're not very happy about that. So these will act just like the real platform, except that it will never get sent to the suppliers, so you don't have to worry about it. On the left-hand side here, we have access to the CRM and dialer, where we upload the utility audit, the front of the pricing platform, the back of the pricing platform for commercial markets, a button to take you to the average electric rates nationwide for both residential and commercial. So if a customer does not know what their rate is, you can pull it up right here based on national averages, and that's really accurate. Request customer leads for the CRM and dialer. We're going to go over a little bit more about that information here momentarily. But if you are needing more customers in your CRM, that's where you can access to accomplish that. The customer appreciation and marketing gifts is a very powerful tool. And then, of course, the launch the Zoom meeting for trainings and meetings, which we are on right now. Below that, you do have the commercial sales cycle in phases, which we're going to kind of touch on just a little bit today, walking through that process. And then if there are any announcements, you'll typically see those down below. This happens to have last week's training there, so if you wanted to review it, you could as well. Otherwise, you can access all of the past Zoom trainings right here from the past Zoom training button. So the first thing is jumping into the CRM. Once you log into the system, it is going to bring you to this page, which is the high-level dashboard. So you can see at a glance what's going on by the day, the month, year, what have you, over the life of the time that you've been in the CRM. You will see a list of leads down below, but you can also access them by clicking on your leads at the top. when you do so, because you may end up having multiple states that you're working. And in order to bring in a specific state, so if you were working in Texas and let's say that you wanted to work in another market, then say like Illinois, then you would come down to the lead source, select Illinois, and then hit search and update, and that will bring in a list of all of your Illinois customers so that you can work it. And this is going to uh, keep you abreast as to what customers you have in what status as you start working with those customers. New leads is really if you, for some reason, have a self-sourced customer that you need to add into the system, you can do so by clicking the new lead, entering in their information. Just make sure that you save it when you're done. Your calendar is going to give you a high level view of all of the appointments and things that you have going on throughout the month and year. And so that's very handy to keep track of. Your tools, you do have the ability to look at the dialer matrix and email matrix so that you can kind of see how are you doing, how are things are progressing throughout your calling sessions. There is a help desk. You can certainly get support to attend to certain things by just emailing them at support@trupower.com, and they will attend to it. If it's something that's platform related, you can certainly go up here and add a ticket, and that'll keep track of it and notify you when you get the answer or the issue is resolved. Under the Documents tab, a lot of times people ask me, where do I find this? Where do I find that? Under the Documents tab, there is information about the utility audit. This is also available on the TruPowur.net website under resources. But you have a lot of information here, as well as some of our information about the free solar program, and then some of our past historical training, so helpful information, and some information on past Zoom trainings, which is going to break it down as to what those trainings are about. When you pull up a customer in the system, and so let's go ahead and pull one up, for example, you will see some information over here that's associated with the lead records. I would caution you as to changing this information. Now, for some reason, this customer was, if you put in a lead and you didn't enter the information in correctly, then yeah, you probably would want to change this, but you do not want to change this information. For example, if I decide to change this from self-source to putting it in Colorado, I'm actually going to take this lead, which is in Texas, and put it in my Colorado lead. So changing this is only to help identify where that customer is from. As far as being able to update the status of the call, right here under current lead status, you will see never contacted, fresh leads, pre-qualified, customer called in, self-generated leads, social media search, information gathering, in progress, first call, voicemail drop, second call, voicemail drop, first call, no answer, no voicemail, try again later. And so you have all of these different categories to choose from in order to result that call so that you can follow up with that customer in the near future. So you just want to make sure that you keep all of your information updated as you're making calls. Sometimes I see agents that make calls and they don't make changes in here, and your fresh lead pile just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and it makes it a little more difficult to go through those leads. If you're wanting to look at the customer, a street view, there is a Google map street view that is attached to it, so you can actually physically see what that building looks like, as well as here is the button to make the call, as well as the button to click to send an email, and that'll pull up the dialog box to do emails from the CRM. They're all templated, so you just select the template of the email that you want to send to the customer. Pretty easy. So you make the call by clicking the green dial button and click the yellow icon to send an email to the customer. Now, below, anytime that you're making calls or result the calls, those notes and recordings will be attached in the notes. And so you can always go back through and review the history of that customer if you're having to look. And then you can enter information in there of your own free will, things that are important. If you happen to be putting in something that is important and you want to make sure that that is pinned to the top, you can certainly do so by pinning that note to the top so that it'll stay at the top of the list here, so it doesn't end up getting pushed down as you make contacts with that customer or other customers. Same thing. So that is a quick overview of the process in which to use the CRM and the dialer. Here's a couple of things that I want to make note. Now, last week, I noticed that there were several email responses. Well, first off, I have to congratulate everybody because the amount of bill requests have jumped up dramatically, which is fantastic. That means everybody is obviously doing a fantastic job. It's up about 800%, so that's huge. But I've also noticed a lot of responses from customers who their response makes me believe that the customer does not understand what the utility audit is, what we use as our opener. So right over here next to the customer information, you've got the audit script, a commercial script, residential script, and a solar script. And so when you're talking to the customer, for some reason, that customer is not paying attention, is not listening to you, and they don't understand that the audit has nothing to do with renegotiating their contract. And so I saw this email that went out. I've taken the names out to protect the innocent. And so this agent sent the customer the typical bill request, which is what this used to look like. And then they didn't hear anything. So then a few days later, they responded with the second bill request reminder. And lo and behold, shortly thereafter, the customer responded with this particular email. Said, "Hi, thanks again for the info. At this time, with the continuing pandemic, we are not in the position to make any changes. We will keep you in mind for the future. Thank you." And so obviously this customer does not understand that this is not about renegotiating your contract. There's not going to anything change except you're going to either find out if you have refunds coming to you or not, or perhaps maybe the agent or broker, when speaking to them, talked about savings. Savings is moving forward, refunds is going backwards. So I responded to the agent and basically gave him a little bit of a breakdown Obviously, this customer doesn't understand the audit. The utility audit does not change their future contract. It looks back 3 to 4 years and identifies errors that are not on the bill, but many line items that are not listed on the bill that are buried within the utility. Upon completion of the audit, they will receive one of two outcomes: either a congratulations, there are no errors, you have a clean bill of health, nothing further is required, or here are the errors in the amount of the refund, would you like to move forward? So in either case, they still have a decision to make, but at least now they can make an informed and intelligent decision. So obviously, I've never heard of anybody that didn't want their money back, so they typically will move forward. The fact is that there is a continuing pandemic is all the more reason to make sure that they are not being overcharged. As more than 70% of the customer bills that we audit result in errors, you need to make sure that they are crystal clear on what the audit does for them. And so going back into that, decided to make some changes on the template for the bill request. And I think this is going to be a huge help. And we started doing that yesterday. And that is, Joyce speaking with you today. Per our conversation, please reply to this email with an attached copy of your most recent electric utility bill. Given that 70% of the bills we audit result in substantial refunds, and the statute of limitations only allow us to go back up to 48 months, identifying erroneous charges and errors that are buried within the utility that are not visible on the bill itself. It's imperative to get your audit started today. Attention, the utility audit is not a renegotiation of your electric contract. Click here to learn more about the audit process by watching the video. I'm sure you have all seen that. We look forward to working with you and providing 100% risk-free audit. And then, of course, the agent's name. I think this is going to be huge in helping people clarify a little bit better about the audit. So we want to make sure that when we're talking to the customer, that we are not talking at all about contracts or anything else. Now, that may be something that we do in an hour, tomorrow, next week, next month, next year, whatever that may be. But we want to keep it very straight lane and keep it simple and only talk about the audit. And that way you can keep your conscience clear and keep the focus on one track and one thing, and that is to afford the customer an opportunity to have their utility bill audited in order to see if there are any overcharges or errors that we will fix. Now, just as a cliff note, if we go back and resolve those errors and we get a refund for that customer and it's $10,000, let's say, and we go back 3 years, that means moving forward for the next 3 years, that's going to be $10,000 that they're not going to have to spend as well. But I think if you try to explain that, it still tends to make that customer think you're renegotiating their contract. So I prefer to keep the content of the conversation talking about going back in history, going back in time, going backwards 3 to 4 years, identifying those underlying errors. The law and the statute of limitations allow us to go back 3 to 4 years, identifying those errors, recapturing that as a refund. We work on a contingency basis, so if we find nothing, we make nothing. So that's a huge benefit. But they, of course, they obviously keep all of the savings moving forward. So I think that's going to be a big help for a lot of people by having changed the template. So if you look at the template right here, the first utility bill, right there, you can see where it says, attention, the utility audit is not a renegotiation of your electric contract. And then we did make some changes to the reminder, and made that a little more forward as to what it is that we're doing. And then, of course, once we have the utility bill and we go back to the quick launch menu, we're going to go right here and upload that to the auditors. So once you click on that button, it is going to load this page, which is going to allow you to put in your name and email, the client or the customer's information, and then select if you're submitting an electric bill, select that, attach a copy of their bill and submit that to the auditors. Once that is done, then we have an opportunity to take a look at other information and other opportunities past that. But until you have that bill, you can't do anything, and you really shouldn't discuss anything further as well. But let's assume that that customer, you can look at the bill and you see that there's some good opportunities, not only for the audit, but potentially some savings moving forward. That is when we will click the commercial platform and enter that customer's information into the system. And so you will go into here, into the back office, click add new customer, follow through with it. And then once you've added all of the customer's information, then either get a hold of me if this is your first time and you're need some assistance. I am more than happy to walk you through putting that quote and that information together so that you know that you've done it correctly. Once that quote or that proposal is finished, we need to send it to the customer. And so if you look on the templates here, you will see this is supplier savings proposal. Don't forget to rename and attach the proposal, because when you download it, it'll say proposal. We don't want to leave that file, that PDF file named proposal. We want to rename that to the company name. So if the company was ABC Marketing, then we want to rename that file to ABC Marketing or whatever the company name is, and then click right here to attach a copy of that. Just click attach, and wherever you save that on your computer, it will attach it to the system, and then hit send. That simple. It's already filled out for you, and so it keeps it very simple. During the initial audit investigation, additional savings was identified on the account. Please take a look at the attached PDF file. Give me a call. We'll go over the details. Well, you know, the moment that this customer opens that email, a pop-up will appear in the upper right-hand corner of your screen, letting you know that that customer is now looking at that PDF, and you will be able to call the customer and say, hey, have you had a chance to take a look at that email? Yes, I'm looking at it right now. Perfect. Let's go over it, and then just break it down. And we've done those in the past, and so you can look at some of the past emails or past trainings in order to see what that process looks like. It's really pretty straightforward and simple, and I will be more than happy to walk you through that the first few times as you get those bills and so forth. And we've got some other sales trainers and people who can assist you as well. So that is really important in making sure that we identify with the customer on the utility audit, which is what we're using to open the call with, is to make sure that we are sticking to the utility audit. It's not a renegotiation. So when you get a customer that says, we're good to go, we have somebody that takes care of that for us, they're talking about the supplier side, and they're talking about renegotiation of their contract, and that's not what we're talking about. You need to stop that customer and say, exactly why do you think I'm calling, and let them tell you. Once they tell you, well, you want to switch our electric, and no, that's not why I'm calling. Okay, why are you calling? Okay, now I've got your attention. So follow through with that. So it is valuable and important to make sure that that customer is aware of why you are calling them. So real quick here. So in the audit, the open on that in the utility audit script, it is really pretty straightforward. Um, my name is, I'm with the utility audit division, and it appears that your utility account is due for its 3-year audit and verification to ensure that there are no errors under the capacity, classification, or tariff. Since you are a valued customer, we do want to correct those errors as soon as possible. What is the best email for me to send that audit instructions to, or who and whose attention should I make that to? So you want to make sure that you're sending this to the right people. We want to get really good at what it is that we're doing and make sure that we're conveying the right message to the customer so that they're crystal clear in what it is that we are doing. And especially when you're talking about the audit, because that's your door opener and that's what makes everything else fly through. So once you have the audit in place, it's much easier to take that next step to the customer, even though they initially may or may not think that they want to look at renegotiating their contract in the future. There may be some hidden reasons as to why it may be valuable today where it may not be valuable down the road. So one of those is going to have to do with the analytics. Obviously, we know that the market does not always react the same globally. In other words, much like gold prices, when gold is up globally. It's not like gold is cheaper in Iowa today. So, but energy does not react that way. Energy prices are going to fluctuate day to day and from region to region and territory to territory. And so we want to make sure that we stay on top of that. So how can we do that to the best of our ability to make sure that we're staying in contact with customers that are going to benefit the most? Well, the first thing you can do is to go into your back office, and you will see right here under market updates a list. So in the old days, you used to have to do all of the analytics, and you still can do them manually, but in the old days, you had to do the analytics hand by hand and say, okay, let me take a look at Illinois, let me go look at Pennsylvania, let me look at New York and figure out where it is that I think I want to market today. So we've updated that by creating the market updates so that on a daily basis, the system automatically does the analytics on all territories and creates a report in your back office. So when you click on this, it is going to give you a quick list as to where the best markets are, and that's where you're going to focus. So looking at the market updates for commercial prices in electric, you've got Connecticut, Massachusetts, and then in natural gas, there's Pennsylvania as well, New York. And so in natural gas, you've got Maryland, and then of course the residential market, you've got Massachusetts, New York, and the natural gas is Maryland as well. And every once in a while, you're going to see uh, um, a note at the very bottom, which is markets where customers have received competitive bids. So what that means is this is an auction that resulted into a contract, and it will show you how much better that auction has actually done for the customer. So in this situation, this was an auction in Illinois with Amaron winning the bid at 6.204 cents. The best matrix was at 6.359. So obviously that is a difference of 1.55 mils or 1.5 cents. So that saved the customer a lot of money. That also means that that gives you a competitive edge to maybe potentially move from 3 mils to 5 mils or 6 mils or 4 mils, and to make some of those adjustments. So that's going to give you financially a good edge as well. So it's a good idea to check the market updates on a daily basis to make sure that you are focusing on areas that you can provide the most value for that customer. If you decide that you need to go to Connecticut, then simply go over here and click on Request Customers. Once you pull up the customer lead request form, you put in your name, email, and extension. We are going to make some changes here that I think are going to make it a little bit easier. Currently, you select the state, and then it asks you to select residential or commercial. I think one of the things we're going to do is flip this so that you select whether you're looking for audit customers, because you can do an audit in all 50 states, Canada, and Mexico. Does not matter whether it's regulated or deregulated. And so you want access to all of the states. But if we're doing residential customers, that's going to be a little bit different, and as well as commercial. So those markets are going to vary a little bit. And so rather than finding out after the fact that you're wanting commercial customers in Kansas, and we don't do commercial customers in Kansas, then you don't want to find out after the fact. So we're going to change that so that when you select it, you'll only be able to see what it pertains to based on what it is that you want. So that'll kind of streamline things. And obviously you've got a link right here to check the market updates, which we've just done just momentarily ago. So I think that is going to be really helpful in your marketing efforts. And so one of the things that we are really being attentive to a little bit more, and especially for those that are doing what they're supposed to be doing, and they're making their calls, they're getting the work done on a daily basis, and they're making 100, 300 calls a day, then we're ramping things up so that we can key those customers that have higher usage demographics, so that we're going to take and then feed that to the people that are actually getting the work done. So want to thank everybody that is doing that, and we're seeing a huge increase because of that. So if you started noticing that the customer lead database that you're getting is customers that come from much larger demographics, it's because obviously you're doing a very good job, and we want to continue moving forward with that process as well. From agents and brokers in the system, we're making some changes that are going to obviously be a huge help to everybody. And that's ultimately, at the end of the day, what we want is to make your life a lot easier. And so I want to thank everybody for being on the call today. And if you have any questions, feel free to email me. I'll be in the office for a little bit longer. I do appreciate everybody being on the call. Have a great weekend, and we will see you all next week.